Hey there, she's here, and I'm back! Yeah! And I also sound like this. Yeah, both of the microphones that I had, stopped working since the last video, so I had to get a new one. And now I'm in HD. Anyway, it's been plenty long, so let's just get right back to it with a mission at what I swear is Neo Arcadia Tower. CL doesn't seem to agree, though. Either way, the stage is almost entirely vertical, and pretty good for a level like that. Of course, it could just be that this music is back, but I don't know, I like to think that the stage is good enough on its own rights. Even though we have this painfully slow elevator ride at the start here, making the seal cannons plastered up all over the walls up here painfully difficult to dodge. To the point where sometimes I can't even split my focus safely in order to fire them and have to focus on dodging. Thankfully, as long as those two gyro cannons don't fire at the same time, the rest of the elevator ride is a nice long breather to let you calm down for the rest of the stage. If those two gyro cannons do fire at the same time, the rest of the elevator ride is not a nice calm breather. But after them, it's a nice calm breather. I definitely would recommend the shield boomerang if you have it for that section down there, because you can deflect all of the bullets. Here we've got some platforms following some rails. I believe they are the only thing in the game that you can jump up through, but cannot jump down through. You know, by holding down when you press jump. Simple stuff. Though I don't believe I've mentioned it before. And oh yes, they can kidnap Zero. It doesn't always happen, but be aware that sometimes it does. And don't let it send you careening into death spikes. Also, yes, I just used the Z-Saber. Even before this super long break that I took, I'd been thinking that really refusing to let Zero use his signature weapon isn't part of any sensible rule set, it's just stubbornness. Like that right there would have been horrendous for just the Buster. And really, it's not even following the spirit of the law. The letter maybe, but it was less about, with the runs that I'm paying tribute to, it was less about just restricting it to Buster use and more about restricting it to, like, what you have after the intro stage and such. Zero has the Z-Saber after the intro stage, so he gets the Z-Saber here, that's what I've decided. I completely ignored those blocks. I'll talk about them when I'm less nervous. But basically, they fire out electricity on the top, then right, down, left, keep rotating like that. You kind of want to mix caution and speed to get through there. Know what's coming, and as soon as you have the opportunity, dash to avoid being at close range near the seal cannons. I completely neglected to mention that this boss is here. It's the Rainbow Devil. And it can't talk for itself, so Zero calls it just too big to be a slug. It's a devil in name only. Ooh, and I almost slid down into it. This is its most dangerous attack, and I didn't even dodge it right. It has a similar problem to Phantom, whereas Phantom specifically started all of his attacks at the same location. This one finishes all of its attacks in the same location, as long as you're careful about it. When splitting out a bunch of blobs, it doesn't really move. And for that, just be careful about where and how you're jumping. And or standing. With this attack here, as long as you split it it splits apart either after landing enough times or if you hit it. Split it in the middle if you can, once. And then climb the walls once it splits a second time on its own. If you do that, it'll land right back in the corner, making it very easy to dodge consistently. Just like this. As for sliding across the floor, it'll always move to where Zero is, so if you're in the opposite corner, it stays in the corners. Its EX attack is the only one that can mess with its positioning. It's a punch that moves it forward. It's really not dangerous at all on its own. The only real threat it provides is simply changing where it starts the attacks. That's all you have to watch out for if it uses it. So, not middle, and then center until they split again. Not much else to say about this guy. He's very forgettable for me. There's a character in a web series that I watch who's basically based on this guy, and every time I see him, I never remember that he had an inspiration in the first place. Like, that he was not entirely original. Even though he uses the same attacks. That web series called Tome, by the way. Terrain of Magical Expertise. I heavily, heavily recommend it. Check it out if you can. I'll most likely link to it in the description. And with no grand explosion, the Rainbow Devil is down. We get a Cyber Elf. And hello, CL. Please tell me that you were just waiting for the area to be disrupted again, because if I could warp all the way here directly, I'm going to be very unhappy. No, that's not what she's here to tell us, though. She's here to tell us that... what could it be? Oh, it was her that recreated the duplication of X. And not to burst your bubble, CL, but you kind of already told us this. I suppose it has been several months, though, so... I guess a recap is in order. And yeah, it's not her fault. Recreating X would be just fine, it's just it's hard to program. I now have experience. It is very hard to program without some sort of minor flaw getting in there. All things considered, she did a pretty good job. It's just, it really didn't work out. But whatever. This run worked out, and so now it's time for outtakes and extras. See you in a moment.
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob.
As a side note, you really can't bypass this elevator at all. These overhangs are pretty much frame perfect on many accounts in order, like, you have to be extremely, extremely precise in order to get by them. I'm pretty sure even speedrunners don't try for that. Also, teeny fun fact, if you move forward while walking, or while shooting, your shots go the tiniest bit lower to the ground. Normally completely useless, but it's good for taking out grounded cannon propellers, or gyro cannons. Anyway, there it is, there's the EX attack. That punch moves him a good bit forward, and it means you have to kind of improvise how you dodge this attack, and he ends up back in the center. It would also mess with how you dodge his fling and goop everywhere attack, because not only would you have to stand in the right place and jump over things, you'd basically end up doing something like that, where you have to specifically land in between two pellets, because you wouldn't be able to stand so far away, so there would be more behind you. Whoa. Yeah. Overall, being able to determine what he does is much better than having to improvise, in my experience. It combines with all of these steel cannons plastered all over the walls here to make this the hardest part of the stage, hands down. Most of the time, I get hit, because it leaves us hanging. What? I didn't even think I was getting on that. I thought I was on the wall. Plastered all over the walls up here, incredibly dangerous. Often to the point that splitting my focus between dodging and firing does not work out, as demonstrated here. Focus properly on shooting them down and just have to focus on dodging. This time it went pretty well, like surprisingly well. And then that happened. The seal cannons often plastered all over the walls up here incredibly painful to dodge, and scary to dodge. Or just in general. Yep, in general. Scary in general. It gets hectic to where I can't even spare the mental capacity to fire at them and just focus on dodging instead. Double tap dash, I hate you so much. Why do you exist? Oh, not doing that this time, okay. In terms of the two challenges, in terms of Kevil and Raw and Mithril. That was, I got spooked by not dash jumping and climbed up the wall way too fast. That was so dumb. While I'm not letting myself use the shield boomerang because I got it over the course of the game, I am letting myself make ample use of death spikes all over this stage. They're quite good for using up your lives. This section is just as frantic as it seems like it's shaping up to be most of the time. Anyway, Ah, man, that was even one of the safer occasions I've had too. The upcoming seal cannons plastered all over the walls here, incredibly dangerous. I'm probably not catching up to that. Yeah, I'm not catching up to that. Thank you for not firing. The seal cannons, on the other hand, are always nasty, and I may have just missed my ride again. Going for it. Yeah. Going back into that passageway there when I missed, because I found the gyro cannons at the bottom there can do some pretty nasty stuff otherwise. Yeah. So yeah, this is what I was talking about with the terror. That's the spirit of the law, I feel. We've got some dangerous cubes up here that have my brain hostage. They're scary. I prefer to be some weird mix of sad and angry. Makes all the seal cannons plastered all over the shaft up here incredibly painful. Just like old times. Now before I move on to the analysis, for those wondering, the housing issues that I mentioned in that one video a while back are solved, as well as the computer issues and the 20 issues that cropped up between then and now. I'm very, very grateful for your understanding and support in the comments there. And, well, thank you. Now then, what kind of a stage did we come back to? The Rainbow Devil gets a 6 out of 10. No surprise here, most of those points come from the elevator. If I'm not lucky enough to take out each seal cannon quickly, they just build up and overwhelm me to where if I try to thin them out, I will get hit. And dodging them all when they aren't thinned out is quite tough, let me tell you. And not to mention, those two gyro cannons can fire at the same time, and that's almost impossible to dodge. After the elevator, the stage gets much easier, but there's still a problem area here or there, specifically around the blocks with the electric little jabby bits. On their own they wouldn't be too bad, but forcing you to get in close quarters with seal cannons makes me really skittish around them, and really makes you a lot more liable to make poor decisions. That's about the only problem area left in the stage though. You'll notice that for the first time since the train stage, I did not actually have any boss outtakes. At all. Part of this is due to me having completed this perfect run 3 times by now. The first time was back when everything was a lot choppier, the second time was a couple months ago, where I noticed my new microphone had a bit of audio issues that I had to work out, and this time was the real deal. Even with the first two though, I'd really say there were only a combined 2 or 3 outtakes at the boss itself. He just doesn't pose a threat. It's that simple, he doesn't. There's nothing to watch out for. It's really all just the stage, and I think that stage easily deserves a 6 out of 10. And that's just about a wrap for this stage. Up next is the refights, and who knows when I'll get done with that. Well, actually, you could. I finally come to embrace social media lately, and I have a Twitter account. I'll put a link in the description if you want it. I'll be using it to provide updates on how my videos are coming along and when I'm about to upload a new one. So if ever again it seems like my videos are taking a long time, you can just check there and see what's going on. Of course, you can expect plenty of other nonsense too, but if you follow me, I'd appreciate it. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'd love to see you back for the finale. Until then, this has been Cheese. See ya!